Hello my fellow mongrels! Welcome to a patch notes video for my latest custom Hearthstone expansion, the Mongrel Horde. I've gone through all your comments on each of the videos here on YouTube, as well as your comments over on the website hearthcards.net, where I shared the full expansion. And there were a couple of cards you had some notes on. So in this video I'll be updating all these cards in accordance with your comments. Let's start with all the cards that have been nerfed. First up, there were some comments on a few of the cards from Priest's healing package in this expansion, like the spell Clerical Era. This card would summon a 1/3 Northshire Cleric from the classic set, and then restore 6 health to all friendly characters. But several people pointed out that this card was just too strong at 3 mana, so this card will now have its cost changed to 4. Another card you commented on was the Priest legendary Priestess Aneta. This card would give all friendly characters overheal gain that much health while it's on the battlefield. I'm not gonna show the comment on this card cause it was a little too hostile, but it essentially implied that this card would too easily spiral out of control with the health it could give your hero, so she will change like this. Aneta will now only give all other friendly characters that overheal effect. This will still include your hero, but not Aneta herself, so even if you do give your hero a lot of health, at least the opponent will be able to deal with Aneta easily and end the spiral. In the expansion, Rogue got cards for a new bounce package, but there were some comments on a few cards in this package. The package revolved around the new minion, Lesser Wax Golem, which is a 1-mana 1/1 elemental that deals 1 damage when played, but can upgrade twice when returned to your hand. First into a 3/3 elemental that deals 3 damage, and then a 5/5 elemental that deals 5 damage. But there were comments that this card would just be too strong, specifically when played on something like turn 1 alongside a Shadow Step spell or 2. I was originally planning on reducing the stats of the later stages, but I actually think the main issue lies with the Shadow Step spell, so I've come up with a different solution. Because the Mongrel Horde expansion is the first expansion of my custom Year of the Devil's Saw, it means I have the option to decide the core set for this expansion year, and what I've decided is just to rotate Shadow Step out of standard. The rogue set for the Mongrel Horde came with this new spell, Run for Help, which is essentially just an altered version of Shadow Step, but one that can't be abused multiple times on turn 1. And I think as long as this card remains in standard, Shadow Step doesn't have to. But that wasn't the only card from Rogue's bounce package you had comments on. Another was the spell Flight of the Candles. This is a 3-mana spell that would add 2 Lesser Wax Golems to your hand and then reduce the cost of all Battlecry cards in your hand by 1. A comment mentioned how this was too strong, and we arrived at the solution of just increasing the cost of the spell, so Flight of the Candles will now cost 4 mana. The last nerf is for one of the Warband members. If you forgot what these are, there were 9 tokens attached to the new keyword Warband. When you included a card with a Warband keyword in your deck, you'd be able to select 3 of these 9 tokens that could then be generated by various cards. But the Warband member you commented on was the one called Warband Apprentice. This 3-mana 3/2 kobold will cause your spells to cost 1 less while it's on the battlefield, but a comment mentioned that it was suspiciously missing the "but not less than 1" line. That was actually done intentionally because I didn't feel the classes that had access to the Warband keyword could abuse it that much, but I've since changed my mind. So Warband Apprentice will now have that extra line that says "but not less than 1". You'll definitely understand why once the miniset comes out, wink wink. Those were it for the nerfs, so let's move on to the buffs, and there's actually just one. In the expansion, Rogue got the legendary The Waxtrosity. This 5-mana 5/5 elemental will cause all your Warband members to have the 5/5 stat line for the rest of the game, but there were many comments on this card. Some of the Warband members are already pretty close in stats to 5/5, so this legendary could only give those a tiny buff, making it no better than a common card I released for Warrior. So the Waxtrosity will now change like this. It will now give your Warband members +3/+3 for the rest of the game, but this effect can only be triggered once per game. This way the Waxtrosity will now make it so the weakest of your Warband members becomes a 5/5, and all the other ones will now become much stronger. Those were it for the nerfs and buffs, but one other card is also receiving a small text change. The neutral legendary E-Trig was a 7-mana 4/5 mini that would summon all 3 watch posts from the past if you'd played a watch post this game. This meant he would summon all the 3 watch posts from the Forge in the Barrens expansion. But a comment pointed out that, while it's not an issue right now, this card's text would become a little problematic once the Mongrel Horde rotates out of Standard, since the expansion came with 3 new watch posts, so there'd now be 6 watch posts from the past. So in preparation for that time, Neutral will now say, if you played a watch post this game, summon 3 different ones from the past. This way he could now summon any of the 6 watch posts once he rotates out. That's it for this patch notes episode. The next video will either be my next episode of Miniset Miracles or the miniset for the Mongrel Horde expansion, I'm not sure yet. Maybe let me know in the comments which you'd rather want to see. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and all that, and I will see you next time.